tax base of the new revenue that's coming in is going to be, the tax pot is going to be a lot bigger. True. A lot of the expenses in this budget, I'm not, a lot of this,
But there's no revenue coming to town. This city is dying. There's no stores open. Everything is closing down. Only opening is marijuana stores. What's going on here? We got 12 marijuana stores open here.
Okay.
12 in this town. There are 2 more opening now. It's absolutely horrific.
so here, okay, if you want to talk about the marijuana stores, we could do that. So for me, the way I see for the cannabis stores opening, it is a legal enterprise that's licensed by the province. We don't have a say where they open or anything like that. That's up to the province. There is also, it's just like covered under the Liquor License Act, where there's a notice that goes up for public opinion whether to have one or not there, and that's where your voices can be heard. As for me, since I was the chair of the Downtown Business Improvement Area since 2015, we've been working on revitalizing the downtown every single year. We even created a whole board called the Coalition Board that came to attack to make sure that we could revitalize downtown, fix up the buildings, which came out the Community Improvement Program, where you see the buildings like Chesler Shoes, so many others downtown that are getting revitalized and upkeep. With the marijuana stores, it's their private money that is funding those stores. If they last, then it's a viable business. If they don't, then we have turnkey stores that are able to be rented ASAP. Just like the one that we had, the medical one, that was right beside Reno's down there. And when they went out of business, total beautiful store, renovated, and look what's there now.
No, but who can afford the rent?
They're expensive. I've been downtown for 15 years. I know. But that you got to look at the business plan and the model that you're going to be moving for. So to me, the downtown has been better than it's ever been with business-wise. We have so few empty stores. We have even these buildings where my store is are going to be renovated and apartments put upstairs. It is extremely hard to even rent a place down here because there isn't any, because they're all full. So to me, I'm thinking this is one of the best I've seen downtown in a long time.
Except we don't feel safe here.
Yes. And like I said earlier, right.
I want to have a new raise.
I can't speak for any of the other councils. I can only speak for me.
Did you vote for the raise?
I did.
But in October, you ran,
Yeah.
knowing what the remuneration was.
Yeah, I had
and knowing
no-
what the responsibilities
I had no idea that Mayor Cleveland was going to be bringing that up. I had no idea. I thought we were just going to follow the same bylaws that we normally did, which was year 3 for remuneration.
And I think what we can see is that the people of Coburg didn't see that coming either.
No, and we didn't have any chance to digest it.
It was just done.
Sorry, can you say that again?
Yeah. Consultant was hired and made a recommendation about raises, correct?
Yes.
What is the difference between that and what's actually happening?
Okay. So the consultant from last term?
Yes.
So I actually disagreed with that consultant report because they were all they did was comparisons to a few little municipalities around Ontario. It wasn't an in-depth report of what they actually we did on a daily basis. So they didn't take into account all the prep work. They didn't take into account all the different aspects of each councillor's role. Usually on an average week, I put in anywhere from 30 to 40 hours a week into making sure I'm prepared and ready to debate as well as everything else. So to me, that's the most important part. And that was one of the reasons why I did vote for the raise, because it does take so much time and effort to go.
So what did they recommend?
Back then, it was what we were making before. So
With the tax, with pay increase, will that change these from part-time jobs? I know they're classified as part-time.
Right.
To full-time jobs. I know how many
Yeah.
hours you put in. I know it's not job. If you didn't have the support you have at your store, you wouldn't be able to do what you do.
No. Oh, gosh, no.
So then,
No.
if you are having these raises, why couldn't the classification then be changed to full-time? So all the councillors are putting in the same kind of hours that you may be doing, and then
Yeah.
maybe the raise would be more justified if there was actually more hours being put in.
That's the sentiment
Yeah.
that I feel that the raise seems
Right.
arbitrary on this. Doesn't seem reflective, perhaps at least in the public opinion, of the conditions that.
Each of the store owners and building owners is that responsibility on them. So that's why we have bylaw that comes out after, I believe it's 72 hours or 42 hours. Don't quote me on that, but and they're supposed to be responsible for that. As far as the unhoused and the mental health and the drug addiction problems that we have in Coburg, absolutely that is something that has been a focus ever since back in 2019 when I declared the opioid crisis. We've been working on that ever since, and since
What action has been done? So you've been working on it
Yeah.
since when?
so 2019. So I want to be clear on this. I can't be more clear on this. In the Municipal Act, we do not have any power or are allowed to use any tax money towards anything like the homelessness, the addiction or mental health, because that's the responsibility of the county and the tax dollars go there. We can't copy or duplicate any services that the county has. So we can't do it. So what, yeah. So having said that, we created a roundtable back then with all the frontline workers, hospital staff, the mental health addiction people, living experience, and then the pandemic hit. So kind of got me on the back burner on that. Now, we've been toward working with partnerships with the county in order to fill the gaps, see where the gaps are, and how they can better help serve Coburg and Northumberland.
And what are the plans? That's still.
That's
nothing.
right.
So we've got a round table that
Yeah.
we may have somebody tomorrow.
There-
And it's been how many years these people have been struggling over mental health and drug addiction.
Right.
There has to be more done for these people, right?
100%. The province, the federal government, and the county, as well as the municipal level, all have to get together and start doing that. Everybody is coming, and no disrespect to anybody, they're coming to us knowing we don't have that power. The building's right up over there, the county building, that everybody should be going. Yeah. Councillor Torley and Councillor Beatty went up and did a delegation to the county council in order for to say, hey, we're in trouble. Let's help. Nothing came of it. Also, the next steps are just like what we're doing now. Just like what we're doing now, advocating more and more and more. Oh, there you are. Advocating more to the county, the province, and the federal government.
Every time anything's proposed, it just doesn't want to help.
Again, I would take issue with that. We do want to help. There's hundreds of millions of dollars in this county alone that are spent on help in the last fortune. Hundreds of millions of dollars.
Not showing up.
Sure. Which agency do you want to
maybe
look
I-
at?
maybe
5
I-
counties. The children's aid. No, there's mental health clinics. There's shelters. There's warming rooms. I want to be very clear. Because again.
I'm sorry to say it. All of these places that are available and ready for them. So why then, when I went to bank this morning, is there a gentleman sleeping in the bank? Yes.
Because he was not allowed to enter service because he either assaulted.
Why, when you're down, would you kick a person even further?
It's not about kicking, it's about these agencies have to have rules. And I guess this is the issue, folks, is that these individuals who work at these agencies, they also deserve respect. They also deserve safety. They also deserve sets of rules. And when they are assaulted, verbally abused, dealing with needles, dealing with intoxications, dealing with the drug scene, how are we expecting the individuals? and here's the issue, guys. Transition House can't get staff. There's no one who wants to work there anymore. So it's not necessarily just government not doing it. The people don't want to do the jobs involved, folks. And it's wonderful to, pardon me? Well, again, how much money? They need money. Great. So do we want to go over how much money? Okay, so that $20,000. That's what we want. Why?
More of a police presence on the street to keep them away from.
And so, guys, folks, let's talk about that. What are the police going to do? Because it's not up to the police to prosecute. So, folks, the police are not allowed to persecute. That's your crown. There's been a policy from the federal government since before COVID that we release all. Pardon me?
That's the problem with our bullshit government.
Well, which bullshit?
Criminal, they give the rights.
So again, now we're talking about federal government. You guys are here protesting this government. So let's talk about what this government can do. Because that's what this protest is.
Tell us what this government can do for our homeless.
Nothing, because that's a county issue, folks.
Okay, well, part of the problem.
So I'm the guy you can talk to.
Where you're saying you're doing everything you can for homeless.
No,
I
hold-
hear this from Adam.
No.
And then I hear from you, there's nothing you can
No, there's lots we can do, folks. I'm on the health and...
to our streets. What's going to happen to downtown homeless?
Well, have you guys... What do you mean what's going to happen? There has been
Well,
homeless...
what's happening is you have people here that are saying they don't feel safe. They don't feel safe to walk in their
So we should definitely start petitioning our government to start putting people... We should start...
Importantly, how are you going to help these poor people? There are homeless people, and they do drugs because of what they're facing. Where's the humanity in this?
Again,
You know?
let's have an honest conversation here.
I'm right here.
Drinking and driving, is that a socially acceptable norm, folks? Okay, so when someone drinks and drives, what do? We shame them, we teach them, we say that's illegal, and we put them in jail for failing to follow the laws. Do we build extra highways for them to drive on highways so they can drive drunk? Or do we put a personal responsibility on people to make a choice to stop drinking and driving? Correct. And so this is there is a spectrum of belief here, folks, and you're right, people deserve compassion, people deserve empathy. But to come to a Cobourg Council at $30 million and expect that these $30 million in Cobourg Council, while funding police services, while funding fire departments, while funding social services, while funding our different agencies.
Minimum wage, like people you want to have work in the businesses downtown, hire
Sorry,
children.
are we not-
make under
okay.
minimum wage. So a police officer makes a pretty good pay, right?
Well, yeah, because they're shot at and they...
Yeah. Well, I work in healthcare too, and I'm punched at as well. I don't make as much money as a police officer does. I do have respect for them, but come on, you're talking about money all the time. Well, sometimes people don't need to make such exorbitant salaries.
By all means, so you
right?
want to take on the
There are
police
other
unions
people-
and the teachers unions
Well,
and
no,
the
because
nurse
you can't,
unions
because
and
they're
the...
too strong.
I think
But we're
the
talking
city
about
I just want to say the sentiment to me, like,
For making minimum wage. I understand what you're here to complain about.
I also have a problem.
Of course you do.
This is a democratic, supposedly a democratic council.
Yes, ma'am.
So one person came before council and said,
See, this is where the mistake
oh,
is.
no,
There has been
let me,
over
let
15...
me finish, let me
Sure.
finish.
There's been 15 separate presentations.
Okay, we only heard about one, so let me finish. One person came before council and
Yes,
said,
ma'am.
council needs a raise. What about the thousands of people who signed petitions for other things and they're never heard?
They all were hurt, ma'am. That's why we have an insane tax rate this year. We said yes to everything that the community asked for.
But you're elected in October knowing what the remuneration
And in October, I also went around and told everyone that this is exactly what I would do.
It is not your. What is the
Pardon me? Well, what do you mean, why don't we have? Because the decision was to take them off the beach.
Why?
Council did. Oh, because there's several reasons. I mean, you guys, there are opportunities to ask all of these questions. The office is open every single day. I answer about 180 emails every single day. These questions can all be accessed. It's all public knowledge. I understand. No, you guys are here to have a... Pardon me? No, you guys are here to protest, and I just wanted to show up and be available.
No, you want to show up and be an asshole.
So how am I being an asshole, sir?
Definitely not a very receptive mayor. That's
So I'm showing up on... Pardon me? Yep. doing what's right to do. See, the thing is maybe you guys aren't aware. There's a proven history that what happens in politics, specifically to keep women and minorities out of politics, they keep the lowest and the lower entry bar, which is municipal politics, at a below living wage. Why do they do that? Because you can't enter provincial and federal politics unless you're from a well-to-do family or you've cut your teeth at the lower levels. So what do? They intentionally keep the salaries below average. Why is that? So that only rich, older, retired civil servants can run for the positions. This is not because I'm trying to line my pockets. I have a career in the oil and gas industry if I want. All of our councillors are successful business people. If it was a money thing, no one would be a councillor for money. No one's the mayor for money, folks. So hold on, let me finish. So because it's the right thing to do for the generations that are to follow, because, pardon me? Great, and I appreciate that, sir. I would happily fight for that. I didn't raise your property taxes. The council did a spectacular job. The council voted to listen to the public. What do you mean I'm blowing it, sir? I don't believe I am, sir, and that's my choice. And unfortunately, this is the situation. Your council voted 30 times against me because they listened to you guys. The councillors listened. Your taxes are where they're at because the council listened to the hundreds of emails that were sent in to pay $250,000 for your pickleball courts. The council listened to your ask to keep the pool open despite it being a terrible decision.
What about the regular bus service?
Again,
take 3/4 of that raises that you're getting.
do you understand the bus service costs $1.5 million a year?
Yeah. Having a car is a luxury.
Fair enough. And I can
Not the damn buses.
Why did I call the luxury service?
We need a wheels dedicated.
We have a wheel service, ma'am.
No. It's not a dedicated one.
Serious question.
Yes, sir.
Just asking about the justification of the raise, and like from your answer, it just sounds like for women and minorities is the justification for the raise.
Justification for the raise is it's
Like that's what we want to know. What's the justification for the 43%?
well again you're not. It's not 43%, folks. Let's be very clear.
Can you break it down?
Sure, it's been broken down several times.
Well,
this
we're
year it's
asking you to break it down for us now.
$20,000 onto the tax levy. In an increase from traditionally, we were going to see $14,000 this year between 17 people or between 7 people.
Okay.
We added $20,000 onto that to make a total of $34,000, again between 7 people. Each councillor will see a $3,000 raise. The deputy mayor will see a $3,100 raise. I see $1,700. That's the entirety of our raise this year, folks. Let's call it what it is.
Okay, so my concern
Yes.
is the tax rate increase this year.
Of course, it's a
I'm
big
a renter
problem.
in town. I've been here for 30 some odd years.
Yep.
I am very concerned
You should be.
if my landlord gets a 6.9% increase, she's going to sell.
Of course, my parents live in a condo are getting a $1,000 tax rate this year. I'm getting an $800.
Yeah.
I'm
So
not happy about
that
it either,
is my
folks.
concern, that all of a sudden,
Sure.
if I have to leave where I've been for 12 years, I cannot afford
Neither
any
can
of the current
I
rents in
can't.
Coburg.
I'm the mayor and I can't
Yeah,
afford to live in this
yeah.
community. Let's call it what it is,
So
folks.
how do we, or what then as a community can we do to stop such a large
We have to start.
increase?
We have to start saying no to services. So what services don't we want, folks?
Okay.
That's what we have to decide. I didn't want to cancel luxury. I don't think transit is a luxury.
No.
I called transit a luxury to start this conversation.
Yeah.
As a community, we can't keep affording everything we want. Our councillors listened to everything you guys wanted, and we have an
Maybe that's-
8% tax rate because of it.
Yeah, maybe that's
The hard decisions are to say no, folks.
Yeah.
The hard decisions are to actually step up and say no. And we need to start paying people to step into this position to start saying no to things.
Yeah.
It's easy to say yes.
Yeah.
I love saying yes. I use the outdoor pool every single day in the summer with my 6-year-old son. Every single day, and I voted to keep it closed. Not because I wanted to keep it closed, because that's the right decision. I didn't want to give us a raise in the first.
I don't agree with that.
You don't have to.
I'm late to this party, but I don't agree with that. You can tell them whatever you want. It's not the right decision to close the swimming pool.
Okay, so then we're gonna all
Those
spend
other
$3 million next year when we
Other
can't meet
thing.
any. See, this is the thing, Johnny. You don't understand the behind the scenes, and here's the issue: our outdoor pool does not meet any of the EDI requirements in 2024 or 2025, which means we're going to have to put millions of dollars into that outdoor pool. Do you guys know the boiler's out this year? That's right, the boiler doesn't work. So now we're fixing a boiler for a pool that's going to be decommissioned for 1 year of service. That's $12,000 to $13,000 a week the taxpayers are spending to keep that pool open. Now the councillors did the right thing. They listened to the community. You guys all wanted it open, so they opened it. Is that the right decision? I don't think so. I don't think we can afford a $13,000 a week pool. But our councillors listened to the public, and then the public's upset that they have an 8% tax rate. Well, that's interesting.
How much did it cost for that big truck for the bylaw officer to drive around town?
Yeah,
Probably $100,000.
exactly.
Why isn't he driving around in an electric scooter?
Sure, we can look at lots of jobs, Johnny. No, but listen, we can have this conversation. Why am I here today? Why are the amazing councillors here today? Why did I have Ryan into my office already? These are the conversations as a community we need to start having. You can't have great service and no tax. We're in the situation we're in now from years of doing that. No tax raises. We're in a inflationary period. Last year, inflation, 7%. What was your tax increase? 2. The year before, what was inflation? 5. What was your tax increase? 0. So right off the bat, I'm 13% behind.
What about all the people and families that are buying houses and paying taxes in town?
Yep.
Where's all that revenue going?
Right into the services that they also receive, like their new sewers, their new water lines, their new everything available.
They also tax the money for revenue. You know what's going to happen when we have
3.8% raise every year to every union position, folks. 3.8%.
lifeguards in our beach. It is a huge tourist attraction.
And every other beach in Ontario does not have lifeguards.
Yeah, well,
Let's call it what it is.
Have you mentioned to them that the salary has gone up over $1 million in the last 3 years?
Yeah, of course.
Have you mentioned that to them?
No, but that's...
The salary for the employees of the council has gone up.
Not
over
the employees of the council,
not
the employees of the town.
Of the town has gone up over $1 million in the last 2.5 years, right?
That's 14
That's
positions.
a lot of money.
Hold on,
That
but
could have
that's-
renovated the swimming pool.
Hold on. That's based on the demand from the public for the services that the public want provided, folks. We don't go hire people on a whim. We do it based on the recommendations from our constituents. And so this is the thing, folks. It's not a decision that we're making on our own. We're listening to the public, and then when we listen to the public, other parts of the public don't like the public that we listen to.
Squeaky wheel gets the.
I guess this isn't an easy fix. This isn't an automatic solution. I'm happy to have all of you into the office at any time. We can go over all of the spending. I want to have these conversations. Our councillors have done this because they want to make these difficult decisions, and we're trying to listen to the public. But it's not like black and white here. Everything is not done in some isolation. Our councillors are out there listening to what you guys want, and then when they vote for what you guys want, then the other parts of the public come up against it and say, well, we didn't ask for that. No, but a lot of the public did.
At this point, is there still a chance of that 6.9% or 7% coming down?
We can reject the budget.
And rejecting the budget and
Sure, if you want the
seriously
council-
looking at services that have
Service
to be
reduction?
yeah.
Because we understand the need for service for new residents, but for us, like, you're going to lose residents if we lose
Yeah.
our place. We can't afford to rent anywhere else. in
I
Dover.
understand, folks. Again, I'm the mayor in the town and having difficulty securing a place.
Yeah, exactly.
No, ma'am, I can hear your comments. I understand that you're not a big fan.
You're here for a change instead of talk.
Well, what would you like me to hear, sir?
I'd like to hear about the bus service.
No,
Sooner or later, everyone is going to get old.
Yes,
So
sir.
they don't drive. They take it for you know.
I understand, sir.
And
You're
I
not
lost
happy
my
with the new
license,
service.
and I'm getting old, and I need to get from point A to point B, and I got a cane, and I can't get there.
Okay, so we have a
It's
bus service.
frustrating, and we've been paying taxes to upkeep this town for 40 years.
I can
It used to
understand,
be
sir.
when I walked in, it was called a good, what do they call them? Feel good town. Go, jump. And you mentioned luxury.
Yes, sir.
You're a luxury.
Well, I appreciate that. It doesn't really help the conversation, but at the end of the day, sir, most 40% of towns our size don't have a bus. I called it a
is
luxury
Yeah,
because
but
I
how
needed
much
to
do
hear
they-
from the people that actually use our bus services, sir. There are lots that really appreciate the current service. There are some that don't enjoy it.
Is
Again,
there any thought of expanding the hours? I have family members that work at the hospital. The shift starts at 6 a.m. They can't get there.
so again, we can do a greater bus service. We can go back to
But
that.
then
Are we ready for
have
the
to
$1 million
prioritize-
increase on our
we have to
taxes?
But that was before COVID. The bus service was longer. It's only been since COVID that they were shortened hours.
Well, no, it's not an excuse. Ridership completely dropped
What was
off.
the reasoning for the shortened hours?
Because
to begin
ridership
with?
dropped off, folks.
Yeah.
Again, do you know how many people on average use this bus services in Coburg right now, approximately? Between 300 and 350 people.
And they're
Breaking that
taking some-
down, that means there's a tax subsidy per bus rider of $6,700.
And if
Now,
you-
I'm all for that, but let's call it what
How
it
many
is.
people use the police service?
Could we consider
Well, everybody.
I hope so, right?
could we
Yeah, that's
consider on a bus
$7 billion,
service
right?
rather than having
The bus like maybe from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. and then have between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. no bus, and then again from
Do you guys
maybe
understand
3
that
p.m. to 8 p.m.
there
having
is-
bus service
there
again.
And you're talking
Like
about
staggering it or
cost.
looking at it a
You
different,
said
from a
there
different
are
angle.
other small towns that
Don't have
have a
any,
bus.
correct.
Yeah, okay, but what do they pay on their taxes in
Probably-
town compared to?
Probably about the same, because we're not an
Oh, I
exceptionally
don't
high.
know.
This is the thing,
It
man. There's
is
a
high.
No, we're about
We
average
had-
in the province.
We had a neighbor that came and moved
Adam,
from Scarborough.
don't leave me. It's okay. I just got Rome's in the truck right now. That's why I got to roll out.
Adam, how are you gonna vote tomorrow
On what?
on the council race?
I already explained.
Voted on that.
I already explained. Yeah.
Oh, because Randy Barber sent me an email saying nobody's voted yet. So you guys don't know what you're saying in emails.
No.
I have an email. I'll forward it to
Oh,
you.
Johnny, come on.
Randy Barber sent me an email
So we haven't
saying
voted on
that
the
we
budget.
haven't voted on the council
No,
raise yet.
We haven't voted on
I
that.
have it in an email.
That's
I'll send it to you guys.
Johnny, are you just going to yell? Are you gonna listen?
No, I'm sorry. I'm not yelling at you. I'm yelling
trying
so
so
everybody
you
can
can
hear
hear.
me.
Okay,
I'm
so
not yelling
the
at
issue
you.
is that the raise is passed on the budget, but it hasn't been passed as a budget. The
So you
budget
still
is
gotta
the final
vote on
vote.
it?
That's
Still
correct.
gotta vote on it.
So Randy is correct.
So you still have to vote on
On
it.
the budget as a whole,
On
John.
the budget as a whole.
There's
okay, so
like-
you passed the raise already.
There's 1,400 pages we're voting
So
on.
you passed the raise already.
Yes.
Okay. Well, shame on you guys. Okay. Because none of you ran in the election.
I did
and
run in the
said-
election,
No,
actually, and I
none of
said
you
that.
said that you were going to raise the
Actually, I did.
salaries by 43
It's not,
to
that's a
75%.
false number, as we've already shown, and Peter.
So you're just going to argue everything that the people
No,
here
no,
are
I'm going to
saying,
state
right?
facts. We didn't get a 43% raise. That's a fact.
Over the-
Over the 4-year period, right. By the time the next council comes in, the raise will be in effect. This is the financially responsible way of ensuring what needs to happen happens. How many times in the last third year, when the council raise is supposed to happen, has it happened? Can anyone say in the last 10 years?
Yeah.
Because I can't. Once. In 10 years is when they've actually voted to raise it. That's why the council raises are so low, because it's political suicide to vote in a raise in your third year. That's why they don't do it. Now, is it the right thing to do? Yes. Is it good to do $150,000?
Recommended and there's a bylaw in place and you guys just threw the bylaw to the wayside.
Because the bylaw isn't working, because 9 out of the last 10 times, they voted against it.
Bylaw if you're not going to abide by it.
Pardon me?
What's the purpose of a bylaw if nobody abides
Because we
by
change
it?
bylaws all the time. We've already
I don't have
suspended.
to pick up my dog shit then?
No, if that was a decision that, if the community wants us to change that bylaw, then we could change that bylaw. Bylaws are not, like, laws change. Just because there's a law does not mean it's necessity going to last forever. Bylaws are allowed to be changed. We're allowed to, as council, change bylaws. This was the right decision. Because no, because it's the right thing to do. It doesn't affect me that much, man.
No, but it's these people here and so many thousands of others. It's not the right thing for them.
No, why? How does
Because
it not
a
affect?
43% raise
It's not a 43% raise, ma'am.
over the time.
Yes.
A 43% raise.
So yes, our
is-
councillors will make just over minimum wage next term. That's correct.
But it's
The
supposed to
mayor
be a
will
civic
still.
duty. That's why people ran.
Well, did you understand that this year in this Ontario election was the largest number of acclamations in the history of Ontario?
Yes,
So
I
people
know.
aren't running anymore.
But not
Did you
in
know
voters.
until I threw my name in the last minute you were going to get a second term acclaimed mayor?
But not in Coburg.
In Coburg,
For
our
the
mayor is going to be
but
acclaimed
not for
again.
the councillors. We had many people, quite a
Great.
few people running.
Great. That is
Right.
not the case in most municipalities.
No, I realize that.
And so the right thing to do is to assure that women, minorities, and people who are not rich retired civil servants can run for the position and still afford a lifestyle in this community. Maybe one of the reasons that our bylaws and our past governance and everything that has led us up till now is the way it is because the only people who could afford to be a mayor or a councillor was a successful business person, a rich person, or a retired a civil servant. Maybe if we had some more well-rounded opinions moving into the future of women, young family members, people from single families or minorities on council, perhaps then we would actually have better decisions from a more multicultural, well-rounded council. It is the right thing to do.
Lucas, with all due respect, okay, I'm not going to yell at you, but all the councillors, the current councillors, have 1 and 2 other jobs, have businesses.
That's right, they shouldn't have
And they're not struggling to run in the, they weren't struggling to run in the election.
That's right, because the
They're not
only people that
struggling
can
as
afford to
councillors
run
No.
are business
No,
people,
that's not
are
true.
wealthy people,
That's
are
not
people.
true.
Then find me a councillor who's
Sarah
not.
Gardiner ran for councillor.
'Cause she
She's
has
a
3 other-
personal support worker.
3 other
She's
jobs.
not
3 other jobs.
Great, and she made it work. She ran for council.
Because she
You're
had
saying
3
the
other-
only people who can afford to run are millionaires. That's not
No,
true.
no, I said successful business people
That's not
or people with
true.
other streams of income.
That's
Johnny,
not true.
you ran and you have another business. Name one person who could live off a council salary. There isn't any. That's a problem.
Are the councillors working here full time?
Yeah, most of them are putting in full-time
Full-time hours. Adam, what'd you do? 3,000 hours last year? Yeah, full-time hours, man.
I'm a citizen.
They are paid 35 hours on their pay stub. It actually says
Oh, okay, it is deemed a full-time job now. Okay.
they're paid on your pay stub. Is it not 35 hours on the pay stub every 2 weeks? Yeah, every week.
Then why are we still calling them part-time?
Because that's the way, you guys understand, this is the system. They want the same people in the system. They don't like people that change the system. The system does much better when the same people are elected into the system and the system. People don't like change.
Yes, obviously. Do you believe that a 6.9 or 7% increase is going to lead to more homelessness and more of a housing crisis in this community? And if you believe that, then are you willing to vote against it and go back to the budgeting process? And I know it's a pain in the ass, but, and I'm sorry, not everybody's going to agree with me here. I mean, we can't have services like the pool costing that much money.
I don't believe it's this year to make that decision. We as a council haven't had a chance to do our strategic plan. We as a council haven't had a chance to figure out, and folks, the honest truth is this budget, like we should be at about a 15 to 20% tax increase to catch up to where we're behind. The fact is that at 8%, we're still not even catching up to the last 4 years where we should be based on inflation and pride. We needed a bigger tax raise. The fact that council is only keeping it to this is actually a testament to the council saying no to things that we are now being land-based at, like the lifeguards, like this, like that, like this. So at 8%, I think we should be at around 15%. Do I want to be? No. But that would at least catch us up to where we should be. We don't have enough reserves. We don't have enough, and we need to start thinking about the next 10 and 15 years of this town, not the next 6 months. I've always said, folks, that if I do the job I'm supposed to do in these 4 years, I'll be unelectable. Okay? And that's because these decisions are not easy ones. Our councillors have done an exceptional job listening to the public. If you want to know why there's an 8% increase, it's because our councillors have listened to all the wants of the community. We didn't get any emails saying keep our taxes low. We didn't get any emails saying, hey, we want less services. All we got were hundreds and hundreds of emails of, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that, more of this, more of that, more of this, hire more of this, more of that. So is it any surprise that we came in with a 5% council budget and we left with an 8%? Well, of course not. Our councillors were elected by the people to listen to the people. And hundreds of emails from the people told our councillors they wanted this. So that's what they did. And I'm actually really proud of the council because I think they showed restraint compared to what they were being asked to add back on. I voted, again, against all of it. And I'm really proud of the council because I asked them all to come with some bring-ins and some takeaways, and they did that. And do I want it at 8%? No. I'd love it at 5% because then my parents and myself and my friends would all have lower taxes too. But what we found is that I would say a good balance in our first year. I would say what we did is we kept some of the really, really in demand things because the people that were getting hundreds of emails to us, they ended up getting back, like the outdoor pool, like the pickleballs, like the sustainability stuff, like the trees. That's all back on the budget based on the hundreds of emails we received from the public about that.
We have tennis courts with
Correct. We don't need it, and that's why I voted against it.
I don't disagree with you on that one.
But hold on.
I disagree with the pool.
But again, and this is every single person in this community has their own individual opinion about what should and shouldn't be on that budget.
Has the town considered taking all the abandoned buildings that are down here and hiking up their property taxes to make them either get them filled up or to renovate them so they can keep the junkies out of them or anything like that? Because we got like this guy here who hasn't been open in 20 years who owns dilapidated buildings all over the place, and he's paying what on his interest? How come he's not getting spiked out?
He still pays all of his property tax.
Yeah, but he's not paying any extra, and he's got all these empty buildings that are dilapidated and crumbling.
And again, folks, we live in a private.
Okay.
What do you mean? Is it okay? Of course it's not. But we're not a government who takes over people's private buildings.
No, but if something is, what I think.
No, but
Josh's
you're a
point
government
is,
that comes to us if we don't scrape our snow after 72 hours and gives us fines. So why don't you fine these guys for not maintaining their buildings?
I mean, you can come on in, we can talk to planning about that, we can talk to the building departments. I'm sure there are rules around that. These people have been fined, and as I said, like, we have to spur the economy, not penalize a lack of economy. And I think that's a big difference, is we should be encouraging. If our town is a hotbed of environment, economy, if our economy is blowing up, if there's factories and this is growing up, well then all of these problems kind of start to disappear. They don't have problems in Picton with dilapidated buildings, do they? Because Picton is blowing up. What do they have problems in Picton with, though? Affordability of the locals. When you solve some problems, there are other problems that come down the pipeline here, ladies and gentlemen. And this is what we have to talk about, is that everyone thinks it's a black and white answer. Oh, it's this or oh, it's this. It's a little bit of 1,000 things all heading in the right direction. But yeah,
I had a real answer to that question, your question, because that's hard work.
Oh yeah,
We work full time, maybe, going to ceremonies, ribbon cutting, right? That's hard work, okay? If the fire department was called on that building alone, it would be shut down right away. If the fire department was called, okay? Building codes, okay? But that's hard work. Nobody wants to do that. And then that makes you harder to get reelected, right? That's the real answer to that question.
Yeah, very good.
as a citizen, can we call the fire department on something like that? Oh.
Anybody can call and make a complaint.
Oh, okay, okay.
Bylaw, fire department, anybody.
Okay, I didn't know that.
I'm not leaving, I'm just checking in on this.
The cover? No. Actually, that's wrong. Yes, there is. So we do the parking reserves in order to, so with all the parking meters, sorry, my brain's a little cold. With all the parking meter revenue for the downtown, that goes into a reserve to figure out what we're going to do in the future about parking. As well as, if I could talk about the buildings, so I believe it was in 2017 when they had a lower tax rate on vacant properties. So, like for instance, beside my store. So they were at a lower tax rate. What they did at the county is decided that have everybody fair game on the taxes. So everybody pays the same rate whether it's empty or not. And that way it was supposed to stimulate building owners to renovate and do their buildings. One of the problems that are down here is that a lot of the building owners are senior citizens who, in order to invest in the building, would be millions of dollars, and they're just at that time frame at the end, and they're not willing to invest that kind of money, so they put them up for sale, just like the buildings in the store there beside my store are. They're going through the permitting process, they're already going to start renovating, and so on and so forth. there's nothing we could do if it's not open to the public. There's nothing we could do to make, as long as it's not fire hazards or danger to anybody else. If it's private, there's nothing we can do. Just like if you have your own house, there's nothing that we can do. So, yeah.
The year.
So
That is a fire hazard.
So what you don't know is that we did go through there with the fire department, and we did. They did make a bunch of recommendations, as well as the health unit came, and that's why the curtains are closed, so that it is getting cleaned up and it is up to code. It's not up to code as to operate, but that's a private citizen, and we do have to respect that. Whether it's open or not, or looks terrible or looks beautiful, it's private, and there's nothing that we can do about that.
What we can do is make our town an amazing place where the town, that someone buys that building because it's worth what he's asking for. That's what we can do as a community. Well, that's what we can do. Is we can't go in and tell him what he can and can't do with his property. What we can do is encourage him to sell by getting people who want interested in this community to buy that building and then develop it.
So is there anything in the planning for overflow parking when we have events going on here all summer long? Because we got people that are buying parking passes that can't even use them when there's an event going on in Coburg.
Like, are you talking like short-term solution or long-term solution?
I mean long-term.
Yeah, so that's what
We
the
need
parking.
available.
So that's the parking.